Have you ever felt like life is just too much? Like no matter how hard you try, things keep falling apart? Maybe you've lost a job, ended a relationship, or faced rejection that left you questioning, why me? God? Friend, I want you to know this. Even in your darkest moments, God has a purpose for your pain. And today, I'm going to share with you why this truth can change everything. Let me tell you about Sarah. She was a woman who had big dreams, starting her own business, traveling the world, and building a family. But one day, everything came crashing down. Her company failed, leaving her deep in debt. Then, her fiancé broke off their engagement. For months, she sat alone in her apartment, crying herself to sleep every night. She felt abandoned by God, wondering if he even cared anymore. But here's what Sarah didn't see at first. God wasn't punishing her. He was preparing her. In that season of heartbreak, Sarah started attending church regularly again. She began reading scripture and praying, not because she felt strong, but because she felt weak. Slowly, God began to reveal his plan. Through her struggles, he gave her empathy for others facing similar pain. Today, Sarah runs a ministry helping women rebuild their lives after failure and loss. What once felt like the end became the beginning of something beautiful. Does any part of Sarah's story sound familiar to you? Maybe you're sitting there right now, feeling stuck, hurt, or confused. If so, let me remind you of something powerful. God specializes in turning ashes into beauty. Your pain is not wasted. It's being used for a greater purpose. The Bible reminds us of this promise over and over again. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Did you catch that? God has plans for you, good plans, hopeful plans, even when it feels like nothing makes sense. Think about Joseph in the Old Testament. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. Talk about pain! But through all those trials, God was working behind the scenes. Eventually, Joseph rose to become second in command in Egypt, saving thousands of lives, including his own family, from famine. When he finally reunited with his brothers, do you know what he said? "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. Isn't that amazing? God took Joseph's worst moments and turned them into his greatest victories. You might be thinking, that's great for Joseph, but what about me? Here's the thing, God doesn't play favorites. The same God who worked in Joseph's life is alive and active in yours today. Romans 8:28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." That means your pain isn't pointless, it's purposeful. You might be thinking, that's great for Joseph, but what about me? Here's the thing, God doesn't play favorites. The same God who worked in Joseph's life is alive and active in yours today. Romans 8:28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." That means your pain isn't pointless, it's purposeful.